Greetings and warm welcome, dear audience. Happy weekend to every one of you. Yeah, today we are on a new set of research session, which is actually masterclass level uh, on the we'll be sharing about becoming a thought leader, lecture number 21, Interdisciplinary Research Approaches. This is a new set, so I'm very sure you're going to enjoy this. And of course, as I mentioned, becoming a thought leader. Yeah, let's hear from Ambassador Professor Dr. Rania Lampu what it's all about. Thank you so much. Welcome, Dr. Rania Lampu, for this session.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Estera. Good evening, here from Athens, from Greece. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this webinar, a new webinar dedicated to interdisciplinary research approaches. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Elegant Higher Education for organizing this research series. And of course, congratulate you, Dr. Estera, for the amazing work that you are doing in promoting quality education and quality research worldwide.
Thank you.
Today we will explore how collaboration across disciplines can drive innovation, expand knowledge, and solve complex challenges. Because in a rapidly changing world, no single discipline holds all the answers. Issues such as climate change, or global health, or digital transformation, and social equity demand fresh perspectives that transcend traditional academic boundaries. Interdisciplinary research is not just a method, it's a mindset, a commitment to openness, dialogue, and integration of ideas. So thank you, and let's start. I will share my presentation now. Dr. Estera, can you see now the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Good to go.
Can you see also the change of slides?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So first we need to understand the difference between disciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity, because there is a lot of confusion. Interdisciplinary research is an approach where researchers from different academic disciplines integrate their concepts, theories, methods, and perspectives to address a common research problem. How? In a holistic manner. The goal here is not only to combine knowledge, but to synthesize it, creating new insights that go beyond what each discipline could achieve alone. So, how interdisciplinarity differs from multidisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity? First, if we talk about multidisciplinary research, what is the meaning here? We have scholars from different disciplines work on a common problem, but each scholar stays within their disciplinary boundaries. What is the nature of multidisciplinary research? That the contributions are placed side by side without much integration. I can give you an example. A team studying climate change, where an economist studies financial impact, a biologist studies ecosystems, and a sociologist studies community behavior, but their findings are presented separately. Interdisciplinary research. Here, different disciplines interact and integrate knowledge, methods, and perspectives to generate more comprehensive solutions. So the nature of this research is active collaboration and synthesis across fields, creating a common language. An example in climate change research, economists, biologists, sociologists collaborate to build integrated models that combine social, ecological, and financial aspects. Transdisciplinarity. Transdisciplinarity goes beyond academic disciplines altogether. It involves collaboration, not just across academic fields, but also practitioners, policymakers, and local communities in order to co-create knowledge. So here, the nature of this research is that it's a strongest form of integration because it transcends boundaries of disciplines and academia. For example, in climate change projects, researchers work together with farmers, with NGOs, with government agencies and local communities in order to co-develop practical strategies for mitigation and adaptation. So in short, we could say that multidisciplinarity means juxtaposition. Researchers work in parallel. Interdisciplinarity means integration. We work together, but we blend our perspectives. And transdisciplinarity means transcendence. We co-create knowledge beyond our disciplines, including society. So now, how we can explain the significance of integration in interdisciplinary research approaches? This is significant because it is the key process that allows knowledge, methods, and perspectives from different disciplines to work together in order to address complex problems that cannot be solved within the boundaries of a single field. Why integration is important? Because each discipline has its own concepts, theories, and tools. Integration enables researchers to connect these diverse elements, creating a more comprehensive understanding of the issue at hand. By combining methods and perspectives, integration fosters innovation. Solutions that emerge are often more creative and more robust than those produced by a single discipline approach. This is very well known. And issues like public health, climate change, artificial intelligence, these issues are multifaceted, are complex, so they require expertise from multiple fields, obviously. So integration ensures that social, technical, ethical, environmental aspects are all considered. Without integration, interdisciplinary research risks becoming a collection of parallel efforts. Integration ensures coherence, synthesizing findings into a unified framework or solution. And integration also helps establish a common language and shared conceptual frameworks among researchers from different backgrounds, making collaboration more effective. Integrated results are more applicable to policy making, practice, and societal needs since they reflect multiple dimensions of reality rather than a narrow disciplinary view. So, in short, we can say that integration is not just about combining knowledge, but about synthesizing and transforming it to create new frameworks and actionable solutions. Now, why are disciplinary approaches particularly suited for addressing complex problems? These problems actually don't have a clear single solution. They involve many interdependent factors. They affect multiple stakeholders with different values and different priorities, and they also change over time as interventions are made. So because of this, interdisciplinary approaches are particularly suited to addressing complex problems because of the complexity. They span ecological, social, economic, political, technological dimensions. So no single discipline can capture all these angles. Interdisciplinary work brings in different lenses, engineering, sociology, psychology, to better understand the full scope. Solutions require blending scientific knowledge with practical know-how and lived experiences. So interdisciplinary approaches encourage integration of quantitative data, qualitative insights, and cultural context. Crossing disciplinary boundaries fosters new ways of thinking, so it allows for innovative frameworks, tools, strategies that wouldn't emerge from a single field. And these problems involve conflicting interests because interdisciplinary teams are better equipped to engage with multiple stakeholders and design solutions that balance trade-offs across domains. And since also complex problems involve interdisciplinary collaboration enables continuous learning and adaptation, drawing on methods from different fields to refine approaches over time. So these problems are too multifaceted for siloed solutions. So interdisciplinary approaches can help connect the dots across knowledge systems, foster creativity, and build holistic, adaptable strategies. Now, more theoretical and methodological aspects. Um, Interdisciplinary research is powerful, but this strength, we said that integrates knowledge from different disciplines, but this strength also creates significant methodological challenges. These challenges emerge from differences in disciplinary traditions, methods, and epistemologies. So, what are the main areas? For example, epistemological differences. Disciplines often have different assumptions about what counts as knowledge, what questions are important, how evidence should be interpreted. For example, a physicist may value quantitative precision, while an anthropologist emphasizes a contextual interpretation. What is the challenge here? Reconciling these worldviews without one dominating the other. Methodological incompatibility. Each discipline uses distinct research designs, different tools and validation criteria. For example, economists use econometric modeling. On the other hand, psychologists rely on experiments. Historians depend on archival analysis. So the challenge is how to find ways to combine or adapt methods so that they produce coherent results. So the second challenge is this one. Third, it's about communication barriers. Researchers often use discipline-specific jargon and frameworks. So the challenge is here is how to build a shared vocabulary so that team members can understand and build upon each other's work. Integration of data and results. Different disciplines may produce data of varying scales, formats, or levels, qualitative versus quantitative. So the challenge here is how to develop techniques to merge them into a single meaningful framework or model. And team members may have also different research cultures, work habits, and expectations. So the challenge is here how to manage collaboration, ensure fair contribution, and avoid conflicts of authority or hierarchy between disciplines. And of course, evaluation quality assessment, because traditional evaluation systems like peer review or general standards or funding are usually discipline based. The challenge is how to determine what counts as rigorous or high quality interdisciplinary research. And this requires extra efforts in learning new methods, negotiating common ground, and building trust. So the challenge is that projects take longer, need more resources, and may face funding difficulties because outcomes are less predictable. Universities and funding bodies are often organized by discipline, departments, journals, career tracks. So the challenge here is lack of institutional support for cross-disciplinary work, which can hinder career advancement or publication opportunities. So in essence, we can say that interdisciplinary research struggles with integrating different worldviews, methods, data, and institutional norms. And success depends on developing shared frameworks, open communication, and supportive structures. Now, about this methodological pluralism, how this can enhance the quality of the disciplinary studies? Because we mentioned already about barriers, communication barriers, about methodological incompatibility. So how this can improve actually the quality? Um, because actually it can help, it can strengthen both the process and outcomes of research by ensuring that complex questions are approached from multiple angles. So how it contributes? Because real-world problems often involve multiple dimensions, mentioned before. So using diverse methods, qualitative, quantitative, experimental, computational, participatory, this allows researchers to explore these complexities more thoroughly than relying on a single approach. And also, every method has its limitations. So, for instance, surveys provide breadth, but they may lack depth, while ethnography offers depth but limited generalizability. Methodological pluralism allows weaknesses in one approach to be compensated by the strengths of another. This increases validity and reliability because triangulating findings through different methods, this enhances the credibility of results. When independent methods converge on the same conclusion, confidence in the findings grows. And the blending of methods often leads to the development of hybrid and novel approaches, for example, combining big data analytics with ethnographic insights, opening new pathways of discovery. Methodological pluralism accommodates diverse ways of knowing, including indigenous, local, or experiential knowledge, which enriches the research and makes it more socially relevant. Findings generated through multiple methods are more comprehensive and practical for policymakers, practitioners, and communities, since they reflect both measurable patterns and lived experiences. So, in essence, methodological pluralism is something that strengthens the disciplinary research by ensuring rigor, inclusiveness, and innovation, making the knowledge produced more trustworthy and more impactful. So, if we give a concrete case study, for example, the SDGs, what could be the interdisciplinary contributions? For SDG 1, for no poverty, economic, social science, data science, altogether, they can contribute how? By designing poverty alleviation policies. For zero hunger SDG, agricultural science, nutrition, climate science, they can help design sustainable farming systems. The third one, for good health, public health, medicine, AI, they can help with preventive care and healthcare access. Quality education, here, sociology, technology, educational science, all these can collaborate in order to promote inclusive tech-enabled learning. In the domain of gender equality, gender studies, law sociology can help with equity frameworks and empowerment strategies. For clean water, environmental engineering, policy studies can suggest how we can cope with water access and sanitation. And affordable clean energy, the energy engineering, the environmental science can help with renewable energy adoption. The decent work and economic growth, here business innovation and economics can help with sustainable economic growth. With industry and innovation, here design, policy, economics help with more resilient and green infrastructure, and reduce inequalities when sociology, economics, and political science help tackle systemic inequalities. For SDG 11, urban planning, architecture, environmental science all together contribute to sustainable smart cities. Responsible consumption and production here, consumer studies, sustainability science contribute to how we can design circular economy models. For climate action, policy studies, economics, climate science help implement mitigation and adaptation strategies. And life below water, marine biology, environmental law, economics help with ocean conservation policies, life on land here, conservation science, ecology, forest, agriculture. And not only all these can help design measures for biodiversity protection. And peace, justice, and strong institutions. Here, law, political science, and human rights studies can strengthen governance. And finally, the partnerships for the goals. All disciplines here can foster global knowledge exchange and collaboration. So if we compare and contrast system thinking with reductionist approaches in research, what we can say that systems thinking views phenomena as interconnected wholes. So it emphasizes relationships, feedback loops, and emergent priorities. On the other hand, reductionism breaks complex phenomena down into their individual parts, studying them in isolation to understand the whole. What about the assumptions? Systems thinking argues that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So interactions matter as much as the components themselves. On the other hand, reductionism says that the whole can be fully explained by analyzing its parts. Understanding components individually provides understanding of the whole. And in terms of methodological approach, system thinking uses holistic models, simulations, and quantitative tools to analyze patterns in interactions, such as causal loop diagrams and network analysis. On the other hand, reductionism relies on control experiments, isolation of variables, and linear cause and effect analysis. And what about strengths? System thinking captures complexity and independence, helps understand dynamic adaptive systems. It is well suited for complex problems. On the other hand, reductionism provides precise, detailed knowledge, works well for simple, well-defined problems, and it enables, of course, controlled testing and replicability. In terms of limitations, system thinking can be too broad or too vague. Models may become overly complex or difficult to validate. On the other hand, reductionism risks oversimplifying or missing context, and at the same time, it ignores emergent properties that arise only from interactions. I'll give you an example, studying obesity. By examining food systems, urban design, psychology, economics, and culture altogether. This is system thinking. On the other hand, if we study the effect of one gene, one hormone, or one dietary component on obesity in isolation. So reduction is more analytic. Definitely, it's good for drilling into parts. Systems thinking is synthetic, so it's good for connecting parts into wholes. Both are valuable, but effective research often combines them. What about application-based questions? Now, how this can be applied in real world? This is powerful in the field, for instance, of public health. I don't know what is this. Yes, in public health, for example. Or we can start, okay, with climate change here. Methodological pluralism, like I mentioned, plays a crucial role in enhancing the quality of interdisciplinary studies. Because we mentioned that this captures the complexity. Every method has limitations, so here it allows witnesses to run approach to be compensated by the strengths of another. Triangulated findings enhances the credibility of results, it enhances applicability, etc. And for example, in the case of public health outcomes, this is powerful because health outcomes are shaped by biological, environmental, social, cultural, and economic factors. By integrating perspectives across disciplines, such research can generate more comprehensive, effective, and sustainable solutions. So, for instance, public health problems, obesity, pandemics, or mental health are not purely medical issues. Interdisciplinary research combines insights from medicine, sociology, psychology, economics, and environmental science in order to understand both biological causes and social determinants of health. So it's a holistic understanding of health determinants. Public health interventions require not only Dr. Stella, can you please mute Dr. Stella? Dr. Stella, can you please mute? Dr. Stella, can you please mute because there's a noise. Dr. Stella, can you please mute? Dr. Stella, can you please mute? Okay. Dr. Estera, Dr. Estera, can you please mute because there's a noise and okay. So we'll start sharing again because there was noise.
Very sorry, didn't realize it.
Yes, you were unmuted. Okay. So first, a holistic understanding of health determinants. Improved policy intervention design. Let me share here. Because public health interventions require not only clinical evidence, but also input from economics, which is about cost effectiveness, political science, it is governance, and anthropology, cultural appropriateness. So integration ensures interventions are practical, context-sensitive, and widely acceptable.
How about your
Collaborate.
slides? I'm sorry, Dr. Rania, your slides are missing.
You can see my slides.
Slides, no. I think you have to upload again. It's not here.
Wait a minute again.
It's missing. Suddenly, it's not there.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
What
I
happened? I
stopped
don't know.
share. Yes,
Even the mic.
Wait a minute. Now, can you see the presentation?
Yes, I just added. I think something went wrong. Even the mic was off just now. Suddenly, I don't know how.
Okay.
Okay, please continue. Sorry.
Okay. So here we have input from economics, from political science, from anthropology. So integration ensures that interventions are practical, and collaborations between biomedical sciences or engineering or data science have led to innovations such as wearable health monitors, AI-assisted diagnostics, and predictive models for disease outbreaks. So innovative solutions and combining public health expertise with insights from social sciences and humanities. This, of course, improves communication strategies, addresses misinformation, and fosters trust, which are critical for vaccine uptake, for behavioral change, and health promotion campaigns. Um, Issues like climate change, like pandemics, are inherently interdisciplinary. So, epidemiology, environmental science, and urban planning must work together to mitigate health risks linked to air pollution or climate related disasters. And how to reduce health inequities, economics, sociology, and political science help identify systemic inequalities, while public health medicine design targeted interventions. So this integration supports more equitable access to health care services. So during the COVID pandemic, interdisciplinary research combined epidemiology because we could track the spread of the disease, data science, predictive modeling, behavioral psychology. We could understand compliance with health measures, economics, how to assess lockdown impacts, and communication studies, how to combat misinformation and fake news. All this integration was essential for shaping effective policies and improving outcomes globally. An example of successful transdisciplinary project and explain why it worked. So already we have given examples of interdisciplinary research. Now we can talk about transdisciplinary project. So here we can mention the case of a successful transdisciplinary project in the EAT Lancet Commission on Food and Planet Health, which brought together experts from nutrition, agriculture, environmental science, public health, economics, and policy making to design a framework for a sustainable global food system. So, why this worked? Because instead of each discipline working in isolation, the team jointly defined the central challenge: how to feed 10 billion people by 2050 in ways that are healthy for both humans and the planet. So this common framing kept the project coherent. The Commission integrated medical research on healthy diets, agricultural science on food production, climate science on environmental limits, and economics on affordability and feasibility. It also drew on policy studies to recommend actionable strategies. And stakeholder involvement. Beyond academic disciplines, the project engaged policymakers, NGOs, and international organizations to ensure the recommendations were grounded in real-world context and could be applied at global and local levels. And instead of just publishing academic findings, the Commission produced a planetary health diet framework, a set of guidelines that link nutrition targets with environmental sustainability. And this gave government, industries, and communities a clear reference point for action. The findings influence international debates of food security, climate change, and health, and have been cited by the UN and adopted in national food policy discussions. So, why this was successful? Because it moved beyond simply combining disciplines. This is interdisciplinarity, and actively integrate scientific knowledge with societal needs and stakeholder input, transdisciplinarity. And this created solutions that were both scientifically rigorous and socially applicable. Another example, I could mention One Health initiative is similar. It's a transdisciplinary framework which links human health, animal health, and environmental health to address diseases that cross these boundaries. And it worked because the challenge was recognizing that many infectious diseases originate in animals and spread to humans due to environmental changes, agriculture, globalization. So instead of treating human, animal, environmental health separately, the One Health project, the One Health approach, redefined the problem as an interconnected system. Medical science, veterinary science, environmental science, public policy, and social sciences all are collaborated, and stakeholder engagement because farmers, communities, governments, NGOs, and international organizations collaborated, ensuring that interventions were not only scientifically sound but also socially and economically viable. Tangible outcomes because early warning systems, for example, the disease outbreaks, a more improved vaccination programs in both humans and animals, and policies that reduce risky practices. The One Health model is now used worldwide as a policy framework for tackling pandemics and the microbial resistance and food security, problems that no single discipline can solve alone. So why this model, transdisciplinary approach, is successful? Because it transcends traditional disciplinary silos, integrating scientific knowledge with real-world practices while involving stakeholders at multiple levels. And this ensures not just knowledge generation, but also practical, sustainable solutions that improve global health and security. And um, we can another example that I can give you, it's about the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Is one of the most recognized transdisciplinary efforts in the world because it brings together thousands of experts to assess climate change, its impact, and possible solutions. So it worked obviously because climate change was framed not just as an environmental issue, but as a global socioeconomic, political, and ethical challenge. So integration across disciplines and stakeholder engagement again here, and the reports have directly informed the international agreements like the Paris Agreement. They provide scenarios and pathways for nations to achieve carbon neutrality while considering social and economic implications. And of course, it offers global relevance and legitimacy because it draws from multiple disciplines and includes voices from across the world. That's why this Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is considered as is trusted as legitimate, authoritative source of climate knowledge. It goes beyond the disciplinarity by integrating science with policy and practice, ensuring that the climate knowledge is not just produced but also translated into global action. Its strength lies in collaboration between scientists, policymakers, and societies worldwide. Now, of course, there are limitations and potential pitfalls of disciplinary research. Um, and this actually stem from the complexity of integrating different disciplines, different methods and perspectives. So different disciplines have distinct assumptions about what counts as valid knowledge, as acceptable methods, as key research questions. So the pitfall is that conflicts can arise when team members prioritize their own disciplinary perspectives. This leads to misunderstandings or incomplete integration. For example, a sociologist may emphasize qualitative insights, while a data scientist prioritizes quantitative models, causing disagreements over evidence. Um, and methodological challenges, When we combine different research methods, this can be difficult if our methods are incompatible or require different data types. For example, what is the pitfall here? Poorly integrated methodologies can produce fragmented results or lower research rigor. Collaboration barriers, because different methodologies, jargon, conceptual frameworks make effective communication harder. So the pitfall here is that misinterpretation of key ideas or inefficient collaboration can slow down the project. And in terms of evaluation, the limitation is that traditional academic evaluation is often discipline specific. So the problem here is that interdisciplinary work may be undervalued, making it harder to publish or secure funding. So researchers may face career disadvantages here. Of course, the issue of resource and time intensiveness. Projects can exceed budget and timeline expectations. And another problem is when we fail to integrate properly with synthesized knowledge. Synthesizing knowledge can be intellectually challenging. It may result in disciplinary silos in disguise, as we say, where contributions are just presented side by side. So this actually leads to multidisciplinarity rather than just truly interdisciplinarity. Institutional structural barriers, where there is lack of institutional support, and risk of superficiality, because researchers may spread themselves too thin across multiple fields. I mean, this can lead to superficial understanding of each discipline, reducing the depth and quality of insights. So what I want to say here is that interdisciplinary researchers requires careful planning, strong collaboration, institutional support, and the pitfalls often stem from communication gaps, integration difficulties, resource demands, and systemic biases in academia. So how we can evaluate the role of communication in overcoming barriers between disciplines? Each discipline has its own terminology, concept. Effective communication helps establish shared vocabularies and conceptual frameworks. In public health research, for example, the word risk may mean different things to epidemiologists, different things to sociologists. Clarifying this difference is essential. Communication also enables the exchange of ideas, of methods and findings, which is necessary for synthesizing insights across disciplines. So regular dialogues, workshops, and collaborative platforms ensure that contributions from each field are understood and integrated meaningfully. Miscommunication can lead to conflicts, skepticism, or lack of engagement. Transparent, open, and frequent communication builds mutual trust, encourages sharing of data and expertise, and strengthens team cohesion. Clear communication also ensures shared goals, because different disciplines may prioritize different outcomes or metrics of success. Disciplines have different research cultures. Effective communication helps acknowledge and respect these differences. And of course, even after integration, findings must be communicated clearly to stakeholders, policymakers, and the public. So, interdisciplinary research is only impactful if results are translated across domains and into actionable insights. So what we can say that communication here isn't just a logistical necessity. It is the glue that enables interdisciplinary work to function. It transforms diverse perspectives into coherent, integrated knowledge, reduces misunderstandings, and ensures that collaborative efforts produce meaningful, applicable outcomes. Now, what are potential threats? I mean, how the disciplinary research can sometimes threaten disciplinary expertise, because there is sometimes the risk of dilution of depth, which can lead to less deep, highly specialized knowledge compared to someone who works purely within a single discipline. Shifting evaluation standards. The disciplinary work may not fit clearly into traditional disciplinary metrics. So this can potentially undervalue expert contributions. The risk of misinterpretation, oversimplification, Misunderstandings can arise if researchers aren't fully grounded in each discipline, which may undermine the rigor of findings, and resource allocation and institutional pressure when universities and research institutions sometimes prioritize interdisciplinary projects which could shift funding and attention away from deep disciplinary work. So how we can mitigate this, what are the mitigating factors? By showing how a discipline interacts with others, giving experts a broader perspective. Collaboration is always something that preserves depth, and teams often include disciplinary specialists alongside generalists. So this allows experts to maintain depth while contributing to a broader problem-solving approach. And evolution of disciplines, because disciplines themselves evolve through the disciplinary insights. How to balance point? The most effective approach, I could say, is complementary. Disciplinary rigor supports interdisciplinary collaboration, and interdisciplinary perspectives expand the relevance and application of disciplinary knowledge. Uh, Now, what about policy, society, and ethics, for example, stakeholder engagement? Why this is important? Because this type of research I mentioned before goes beyond academic boundaries, beyond the disciplinarity, and beyond academic boundaries and actively involves non-academic actors, policymakers, community members, industry partners of NGOs. So obviously, here stakeholders can provide insights into real-world problems, helping researchers focus on issues that truly matter to the community and society. Results are more likely to be applicable and implemented effectively. Second, stakeholders bring practical experience, local knowledge, and diverse perspectives that academics may overlook. And of course, what is the benefit here? That it leads to more holistic and innovative solutions. When stakeholders are actively involved, they feel a sense of ownership and ownership over the research outcomes. This increases the likelihood of long-term success and sustainability. Engaging stakeholders ensures that research respects the community values, avoids harms, and addresses social needs. So, what is the benefit? That this promotes fairness, trust, and ethical research practices. Stakeholders can help translate research findings into actionable recommendations. So, this strengthens the social impact of research. So, we can say that stakeholder engagement in transdisciplinary research bridges the gap between knowledge production and real world application, making research more relevant, more inclusive, more ethical, and impactful. Now, disciplinary research can inform policy making, of course, in every area, such as education or environment or technology. Um, the impact, for example, of educational policies that we can guide decisions on teaching standards, on resource allocation, on inclusive education initiatives, or if we talk about environment, this supports evidence-based regulation, sustainable resource management, and climate adaptation strategies. For technology, this helps ensure responsible innovation, equitable access, and public trust in emerging technologies. And in health, this enhances, of course, the effectiveness, equity, and adoption of health interventions. So, what are the key advantages of disciplinary research in policy making? That this addresses the problem's multiple dimensions, a holistic understanding that is evidence-based, because we integrate data there, and because here we talk about practical solutions. So we take into consideration the feasibility, the social acceptability, the economic viability, and of course risk mitigation, because this anticipates unintended consequences by considering multiple perspectives. So this means that interdisciplinary research helps policymakers design smarter, more comprehensive, and socially responsive policies by bridging gaps between science, society, and governance. Here we can see a visual diagram showing how different disciplines feed into policy decisions for education, for environment, technology, I mentioned before. So this A visual diagram makes connections, as you can see, very clear. Um, so, what are about the ethical challenges of integrating diverse perspectives in research? It's interesting to think about this. It's about first conflicting norms and values because different disciplines have different ethical frameworks, different research standards, different professional norms. For example, social scientists prioritize participant consent and confidentiality, while engineers, on the other hand, might focus on functionality and efficiency. So the challenge is here how to reconcile these differences without compromising ethical integrity. Second is about the power dynamics. Power dynamics and representation. Because interdisciplinary teams can involve an equal representation of disciplines, institutions, or cultural perspectives. So the ethical concern is fair inclusion and respect for all disciplinary viewpoints. Dominant voices, we know that sometimes may overshadow minority perspectives, leading to biased outcome or unethical exclusion. And when problems cross disciplines, it can be unclear who is responsible for ethical oversight. Um, for example, in a complex public health research, is a biologist, the data scientist, or the sociologist accountable for unintended consequences of an intervention? So very, very important these things. The challenge is how to establish here clear lines of responsibility in collaborative projects. Conflicts of methodology, because methodology vary widely. What is acceptable in one discipline might not be ethically questionable in another, might be ethically questionable in another. So, for example, animal testing may be standard in biomedical research, but opposed in psychology or philosophy. So, the ethical challenge here is how to negotiate methodological compromises without violating discipline-specific ethical standards. And interdisciplinary research often impacts diverse communities, raising questions of consent, of privacy and equity. And what are the mitigation strategies that we need established, shared ethical guidelines early in collaboration, foster, of course, open dialogue about disciplinary assumptions and ethical priorities, rotate leadership or advisory roles in order to balance power dynamics, and definitely engage stakeholders actively in order to ensure that diverse perspectives are incorporated ethically. So this requires navigating value conflicts, power imbalances, responsibility ambiguity, and methodological differences while ensuring respect for all stakeholders. Here you can see, for example, a table which shows the ethical challenge, the example, and mitigation strategy. For conflicting norms, a biomedical project uses genetic data, but social scientists worry about consent and privacy. What we can do here, develop shared guidelines, consult both disciplinary and institutional review boards. Um, For instance, well, mentioning about accountability in a public health project, no one is clearly responsible for data misuse. So what we can do is to define roles and responsibility early. So this means that we can establish joint accountability frameworks. And what are the future directions? Of course, AI is here. First, you ask me, as for example, skills. What skills are essential for researchers engaging in interdisciplinary work? Of course, this needs strong disciplinary foundation, communication skills, I mentioned before, collaboration, teamwork skills, intellectual flexibility, because seeing the big picture and how parts are interconnected at least disciplines is a very important skill. And trying to identify complex problems that require dimensional solutions is what we call systems thinking. So intellectual flexibility, ability to integrate or adapt diverse theories, methods, and tools, alongside with systems thinking. Methodological openness. This means familiarity with a variety of research methods, the capacity to learn new approaches, combine them appropriately, the project and time management skills, how to manage timelines, resources, how to coordinate complex projects with multiple stakeholders, the cultural competence, how to understand disciplinary cultures, different norms, standards, the sensitivity to diverse perspectives, whether disciplinary, social, cultural, and creativity, generating novel questions at the intersection of fields. The ethical awareness, recognizing ethical challenges unique to interdisciplinary projects. So balance disciplinary standards with broader social responsibility also. So interdisciplinary researchers can thrive when they combine depth, which means expertise in their own field, with breadth. What breadth is openness, adaptability, and collaborative skills. And of course, teachers, talk about teachers can practically integrate disciplinary thinking into daily lessons by using real world problems, by anchoring lessons with essential questions, by embedding cross disciplinary skills, by writing, for example, integrating arts and science and or mathematics, or by integrating writing in STEM education. We can invite students to write lab reports as new articles for the public. This is cross-disciplinary skills. And through collaborative planning, through leveraging student projects, so many ways that the teachers can integrate disciplinarity into daily life. And of course, soft skills play an important role in successful disciplinary collaboration, because we talk about negotiation, about empathy, about communication, and the skills that are necessary for researchers engaged in disciplinary work is what I mentioned before, and this has to do also with assessment, because we need to think about how can assessment methods can be adapted to evaluate disciplinary research outcomes fairly. Um, this invites us to broaden evaluation criteria. Value, for example, contributions that advance understanding across multiple disciplines or address real world problems. So we need to look for an impact beyond a single field, to search for methodological innovation, so reward creative innovation, integration of work, of methods, even if outcomes don't really fit within a disciplinary framework. Search for collaborative contributions of social or policy relevance. We can use mixed metrics when we combine, for example, traditional metrics, citations, or age index with alternative indicators, knowledge transfer or cross-disciplinary citations, media or policy update, data sets, software tools, and develop interdisciplinary indicators. For example, we can how to measure diversity of references, or co-authorship across disciplines, or publication in the disciplinary venues. How to diversify peer review panels, so include evaluators from multiple relevant fields, train reviewers to appreciate the disciplinary approaches and avoid bias towards disciplinary purity. How to evaluate process as well as outcomes, so assess the integration of perspectives, or consider collaborative dynamics or value capacity building. And another issue is that we need to contextualize standards. This means that we need to recognize that interdisciplinary research may take longer to publish, and or may prioritize reports or data sets or policy briefs over monographs. So we need to avoid applying narrow disciplinary benchmarks that disadvantage boundary crossing work. So all these new methods of assessment, of course, incorporate self-assessment methods. And of course, now here we talk about AI. How might AI and big data transform disciplinary research approaches? Of course, big data allows researchers to collect, to store, analyze large-scale data sets from multiple fields simultaneously. So we can facilitate more holistic, interdisciplinary understanding of complex problems. If we combine, for instance, climate data, social media, trends, sociology, economic indicators or economics to model climate impacts on communities. AI algorithm also can detect patterns, correlations, and trends across large data sets far faster, from humans. So this accelerates data analysis, enables predictive modeling and simulations. So definitely the impact here that this supports informed decision making and testing of interventions before real world implementation. It reduces communication barriers and expands the frontier of interdisciplinary inquiry. So by identifying hidden patterns or anomalies that spark novel cross-disciplinary questions, it's about promoting innovation. So AI and big data act as catalyst for interdisciplinary research by enabling integration of diverse datasets by faster analysis and pattern discovery, predictive modeling and simulation, enhanced collaboration across disciplines, innovation, research questions and approaches. And of course, institutional reforms are needed to promote disciplinary collaboration. This should start from structural reforms, create interdisciplinary centers or institutes, try to organize flexible departmental structures, so encourage joint appointments across department programs or virtual labs to reduce silos. Um, Give an example, MIT Media Lab collaborates, integrates engineering, design, social sciences, and media studies under one roof. Funding and resource allocation, because for the long-term support, for example, a multi-year funding can accommodate the extra time required for disciplinary research. I give example of the European Union's Horizon. The Horizon programs cost actually millions. The program funds the disciplinary project. We try to address social challenges. The academic incentives celebrate successful projects to create prestige and motivation, and give incentives also. Equip researchers with skills, communication, integration, collaboration across fields, so training, capacity building, facilitate interactions, idea exchange, and joint project development. Ensure reviewers understand disciplinary work to fairly assess the proposals and publications. And of course, encourage collaborative decision making and reduce bureaucratic barriers between departments. So, in order to promote interdisciplinary collaborations, institutions need flexibility, targeted funding, support evaluation systems, cross training opportunities, communication platforms, and strong leadership commitment. Without these reforms, this risks being undervalued or poorly executed despite its potential. So the future of interdisciplinary research in the context of global challenges could be has to do with how we can collaborate all together, how we can try to mitigate the risk of conflicting norms and values, how we can we can take our responsibilities and respect our accountability, how we can work with a complex methodology, how we will bring together all stakeholders, involve all stakeholders, and the key factors that actually make the disciplinary collaboration work is the shared goals always, shared goals and problem framing, the mutual respect and openness, always flexible methodologies, so willingness to adapt methods or mix approaches, the institutional support, I mentioned about incentives or funding or time, and iterative feedback and pilot testing. Early prototypes, trials to see what works, and then refine. So what are the lessons, the applications of what we have learned today is that, for example, when educators design the disciplinary curricula, they can mirror these structures, they can set real world problems, they can build in collaboration, ensure communication of jargon, etc. Organizations trying to innovate can assemble diverse teams and can encourage cross-disciplinary training and give space for experimentation. And for policy or sustainability work, integrating technical, social, economic, and ethical perspectives, something that yields more robust, socially acceptable solutions. So thank you very much for your attention. And for any question we can discuss.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Rania. Today we really had a very brilliant session where you have connected between the type of interdisciplinary topic research approaches and together with the areas which we can explore and go further. Thank you so much. I think this is very useful for all of us, including the French students who are doing their research papers. Yeah, so I think our session really cover so many topics in detail, and uh, they can use our YouTube channel. You know, if they follow this, they can use as a very good source of reference for their research. Thank you so much, Dr. Rania. Thank you so much, dear audience, for joining us. I'm very sure you have gained much from the sharing, and it's very clear, right? The way it's presented. And thank you so much. We'll meet again on next Saturday on another new topic under this expert level. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Rania,
Thank
for
you
your
very much.
time.
The future of research lies on the disciplinarity. The disciplinarity, this is certain. The future is this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And also, you mentioned how we can use AI in the areas you have explained for the very clearly. Thank you so much. Thank you. Happy weekend, dear all. Thank you. We'll meet again next Saturday. On Wednesday, we have our STG forum as usual. Thank you.